Opportunistic, still rubbing panels as they go together. It's folded the wing mirror in on Gerardo's car.
Misano is such a difficult circuit for these guys to get right. There's a lot of start-stop sections around the back. It's a very, very quick section as well.
It's a fantastic start from the 23. They're 4 wide there by the look of it. Well, good evening, everybody. Good evening indeed.
Welcome to the Sim Racing Magazine GT4 Challenge. I hope you enjoyed that video there. Nobody in the world has seen that yet, other than yours truly. My name is Chaz Draycott, and I am so excited to finally be getting this series underway. We've had a lot of anticipation for this. Everybody's been looking forward to it in the paddock. There's some wonderful people in this championship and some wonderful people behind it as well. I've had as much help as I can get with making sure all of this is ready to go. I hope you're all excited as well. I can see a lot of you all there in YouTube chat as well and on Facebook. Hello everybody. And we are here for the first round of the championship, which will take place at Road Atlanta. The championship itself will be made up of 12 separate rounds, and we will be taking them across the globe. We start with 3 rounds in America at Road Atlanta, Sebring and Daytona. We then head over to good old Blighty and go to Silverstone before then going through Europe. Zandvoort, Zolder and Spa next up before we head over to Hockenheim and the Nürburgring. 2 races in Germany, then 2 races in Italy with Imola and Monza, and then Catalunya rounding out the season, which will come in August. So we're racing every 2 weeks, and it's going to take us through almost half of the year. The races will be an hour long each. The cars are limited to 40% fuel, and that means we should get about 2 pit stops out of these guys. And it's also a fixed setup for everybody. We're using the IMSA Medium setup this season, so everybody will be on the same sort of downforce. We'll have a look at some cars, shall we? Because right now the guys are just out in practice. I say the guys, there's only a couple of them out there. Stephen Kershaw is one of 2 cars on track. He's in the sort of chrome-styled Martini Porsche. Lovely looking machine indeed, is it not? We have a wonderful list of drivers, though, joining us for this season. João Estevez is the next car up, but he is currently parked at the side of the road in his BMW. He's running the Ukrainian flag on top of the car, which is lovely to see as a gesture towards the wonderful people of Ukraine, as you can imagine, who are all going through a hell of a tough time at the moment, to say the least. But we're not going to get too political here. We're just going to enjoy the racing. Now, you want to see a good-looking car. The 11 tenths cars are absolutely glorious. Johnny Elia and his teammate Byron Crawford both out on track. Stunning-looking cars. All in a very similar design, just slight variation on how they look in terms of the colours. And you can see our wonderful decal layer on these cars as well, the big yellow number boards. Thank you to Andy Marston of Sim Racing Magazine for having the faith in me to help run this. That is Paul Goffin, his teammate actually. Now it seems like the guys have all done their driver's briefing, I think, just before practice finishes. We have half an hour of qualifying, so plenty of time for people to get a lap on the board. James Cummings is currently second fastest though, number 2, P2. At the minute. James has always been quick when I've commentated on him in the Porsche Club of Great Britain Sim Racing Series, and it looks like he's continuing that here. My good friend Ed May is actually top of the times at the moment as well, and he's a good quarter of a second clear in that McLaren. We have a number of McLarens, only a pair of BMWs here tonight, which is the Petrol Tuga cars of João Estevez and Fausto Pinto, the 2 Portuguese drivers. Some of the McLarens worth looking at. Clockwork Orange of Jared Coleman. And his teammate, I believe, Ryan Penny is with us as well in this great looking car. Love the livery on this machine. He's running his usual number 99 as I always see him in. Car behind him as well, I believe. Yeah, it's Gary Tall in possibly the best looking car on the grid, I have to say, which is the Tall and Taller Motorsport machine. Gorgeous looking car, very striking design, done by one of our series partners, Digital Motor Art. Of course, we must give a shout out to our series partners. We're very grateful for them. It's Blinds to Go, Digital Motor Art, Orris Digital, Crockery Direct, Mydas Simulation and Shark eBikes. We've had fantastic support from each and every one of them about getting this championship underway. As all around goes Ryan Penny. Tom Slater coming through it in the DBTRS racing machine, just misses him. Oh, and he does it himself. Tom loops it at the top of the hill. Well, there is Stephen Haley, by the way, in that McLaren, the SimSport Racing International car. God, is that a pretty looking thing. It's one of my first ever times ever commentating on the McLaren 570S. It's not the quickest of these cars. It seems like with the current balance of performance, it is the Porsche that is the fastest. So we'll keep those logos up on the left-hand side for you. That's Paul Stout going for a bit of a ride. Carl Sharkey getting stuck in that one as well. Now we have another one of the McLarens just there. That's Mark Elvin, the privateer, in the Harrods liveried car. It's all gold, based on the yellow and green Le Mans McLarens from yesteryear, with all of the green that you could want down the middle as well. Look at it bouncing over the curbs at the final corner. Ian Hannon is the other Shark Esports car. Gorgeous looking car again. So many pretty liveries in this field. Now this is also a pretty livery that Mark Johnson has on his car. Very, very striking indeed. And this is the thing on iRacing, you know, anyone can run anything as a livery, and you do see these sort of throwback liveries sometimes. It's great to see. And here is Edward May in his own privateer livery, the number 107 car. A very Japanese hentai-inspired livery. I say hentai, I shouldn't say hentai lavender. Anime. Let's not get Chaz kicked off YouTube. Oh God, I can't believe I've come out with that. You all know what it is. Ed is flashing his lights, so he's clearly listening. But that number 107 car, very striking indeed. And currently, as you see there, top of the times by nearly a quarter of a second. I'm going to retire now. David Patching, another car that we haven't had enough of a look at yet. He's got patch magic on the bonnet of the car, and it looks like it's got quite a bit of grass on it already, to be fair to him. Hopefully he won't end up in the grass as the season goes on. There's whoa in the background there, that was Stephen Haley all over the grass. We'll go on board with some cars, shall we? As you can see out the McLaren, you can see nothing. To be fair though, it's not too bad. Whoa, big bouncy boy. That is the end of practice though. So literally give it a couple of seconds and everything will disappear, all the cars and all sorts, and we will go to our pit lane camera and you will see everything go away and then come back very, very quickly. Tiny, tiny bit of calm falls over the circuit. And then everybody will make their way out. So many cars on their way out of the pit lane. Ed May is actually the first car out on track as well. He is so eager to get this underway, is Ed. And he's cracking on with it. So anytime now we'll start seeing times be put on the board. And trust me, this is going to fly by. This is going to fly by. So we've got half an hour of qualifying for drivers to all get this right. There is the man himself, Andrew Marston of Sim Racing Magazine. The man behind it all. That is hoping to have some strong showings this season. Oh, we've got a car off already. Tom Slater is off the road in the number 53 DBTRS car. He makes his way back on. Here comes Ed May, though, through the chicane. And he's going to start his first qualifying time of the session over the crest of the hill. And the McLaren cracks on. The first car to break the beam in the entire season. And the first car to get onto a qualifying lap. We'll go on board with Ed, shall we? Show you what it looks like from his point of view into turn one. Long sweeping right-hander. You've got to be so careful not to carry too much speed through there because you can wash wide and it's a long old way back to the middle of the road. Turn three, very scary right kink. You've got to just take enough curb to throw the car in and help it around. You can see all of the time shifting across the bottom. That's cars crossing the line. As Ed runs very wide over the curb on the left-hand side. Gary Tall, David Patching and Jared Coleman have all been off the road. There's been some shenanigans go on here. This is João Estevez having his own moment. Oh, Gary's had a massive incident. Massive incident. And Jared Coleman's done the same thing at the top of the hill. Oh, he's off in the barriers. Oh, man. He gets going again, but won't be in too good a shape there. So Edmay does a purple sector 1, purple sector 2. You can see at the bottom of the screen there. I should probably move that up slightly. My apologies. He's just coming down through the final corner now. A white sector means they've completed it but not improved. Green is obviously their personal best. Purple is the fastest sector of anybody. First time of the season put on the board by Ed May is a 1:25.969. Johnny Elia is 8 tenths down. Stephen Haley also 8 tenths down. Ollie Carwadine goes up to 4th position in his McLaren. Carl Sharkey goes 2nd fastest in the Porsche. The Shark Esports car goes up there. Stephen Kershaw. And look at that, Simon Povey for Tall and Taller Motorsports goes a 10th and a bit clear. You can hear me clicking my fidget cube in the background, I'm sure, as I get very excited about all of this. Here is one of the prettiest cars on the grid, John Roberts in the gorgeous Boosted Motorsport car. You've got to love it. You've got to love it. More times coming in. Mark Baxter Jones, not seen much of Mark yet, but great to see him back up there as well. Sharky, then Greater X, Sharp, Slater, Elia, Haley and Crawford round out your top 10. As up the order, another time there I believe, was that? No, it was not Rob Sharp, apologies. It was Andrew Hopley. Good mate of mine, Andrew Hopley. He's not been on the sim for absolutely ages. He literally built his rig the other night. As there's a big off. Oh, that's into the barriers. Johnny Elia, by the way, who is currently down in 9th place, has done some purple sectors here. Baxter Jones has done some purple sectors as well, who hops up the order. Going to see some movement somewhere. Johnny Elia goes fastest by 0.06 of a second. Incredible stuff by the number that's on his car. Johnny goes fastest. Wow, oh wow. Brilliant stuff from Johnny is there. Stuart Clark goes up the order as well. Another privateer as he clips the grass on the way in, and he's going to go hard into the wall. Takes the rear window off the car. Oh, we've got a big off. Big off for Tom Slater. Tom Slater's had a massive accident there. What's happened here? Oh, he's just pushed it a bit too hard around the final corner. Clatters into the barrier. Absolutely horrendous. Alex Neller saying the graphics feel like he's in Heathrow Airport. You know what? I know exactly what you're on about. I've never thought of that, and I can only apologise. It's good to see you, though, Alex. It's good to have you with us this evening, mate. So, the track is very full at the moment, as you see. Very full indeed. Cars all over the place. Trying to see who can hop up the order the quickest. Ed May's now down to 4th place. Stephen Haley has gone 2nd fastest. Still, good advantage by Simon Povey. That last time round just increased it ever so slightly. John Roberts has just crossed the line. He's got the green machine in front of him. David Patching. Colin Wynn in the chat as well. Good to see you, Colin. Hope you are well, mate. Hope you're enjoying the fun so far of what we have had. Danny Jones has just improved. Now, I love his livery. Absolutely love his livery. This sort of rusted patina look on a police car. Whoa, that's not so patina. Well, maybe it is, actually. As the back end tries to kick out again on the Porsche. Whoa, and he's around. Oh, Danny. You nearly held on to that one, son. You nearly held on to that. Stephen Haley being called a weapon. Now, I know he's been called a weapon before for many other things, but Frankie Helliwell saying, "Go on, Stephen, you absolute weapon." And he is quick. But look at that from Simon Povey, man. Look at that from Simon Povey. 4/10 clear of anybody. He's helping his teammate as well in Tall and Taller Motorsport, Gary Tall, behind him. Gary just clinging onto the back. Those two look so good on track together, don't they? They look so, so good together. And across the line they go. Is there an improvement for Gary Tall? Yes, he goes up to 7th place. So the slipstream does help him. Great to see teammates working together. Now there is a teams championship in this series for cars that have 3 or more. Oh, sorry, for teams that have 3 or more cars. Then basically it's the top 2 cars that score points for them. And I believe it's 11/10ths that have 4 cars in their name. The 4th of which is Paul Stout. Oh, we've got a car off the road there by the sound of it, have we? Doesn't seem like it. Hello, Andrew Hopley. Yeah, Andy Hopley's gone off the road. But yeah, Paul Stout is the 4th of the 11/10ths racing team cars. And I believe that's a Manthey Racing Porsche, but a little bit more green than yellow. Good to see the BMWs out on track as well, isn't it? I've always... Oh, well. Oh, that's a big old hit. That's Austin Greatorex. Austin's gone up to 11th place, and what's left of his Porsche rolls down the road. Just ran a little bit wide on the exit of the final corner. And he's in the wall. I was going to say, it's nice to see the BMWs, isn't it? The M4 GT4. Another car by BMW that proves that it may look like a touring car, it may look like just a Grand Tourer, it's just a coupe, but they can turn it into a fantastic GT car. And it can compete with cars like that McLaren in front of it there, it's incredible. So different GT4 cars and GT3s. You love to see it. Different engine sizes, different engine layouts in terms of where they are in the car. It's always an intriguing form of racing to watch, is GT racing. You've got the mid-engine McLaren, you've got the front-engine BMW, and the rear-engined Porsche. Currently 2 McLarens in the top 4 at the moment, and then it's all Porsches. Fausto Pinto, we literally just picked him up in the same place we picked up João Esteves, didn't we? As mentioned, they're both running the Ukrainian flag on the top of their petrol Tuga cars. I believe that was Andy Hopley just behind. It was not, sorry. It was one of my favourite looking cars. Why did I not pick up on that? It's Rob Sharp. Gorgeous looking machine that Rob drives. He drove a livery pretty much identical to this in the Porsche Club of Great Britain Sim Racing Series. And it's a hell of a good looking car. 10 minutes through qualifying at the moment. We have to wait and see whether we can have any improvements from people. I realise that we've not had the lap times sliding out, sorry, on the left-hand side. Apologies for that. That's just a setting issue at my end. As we continue to watch, wow, Hopley goes up to 2nd place. Hopley goes 2nd. Great stuff from him. Really good stuff. As there goes Cummings up into 6th place as well. He improves on his time in the number 2 car. Oh, apologies. I thought the Caymans were rear-engined. Apologies, Dredge. Wait, Dredge, hey. That took me a minute. Flipping heck. Ollie Carwadine in this McLaren. Just coming through to turn 1 now. A little bit wide of the apex. And look at that, Mark Baxter-Jones. Mark Baxter-Jones up to 2nd position for 11/10ths racing team. Now he's going to be really chuffed with that because Mark, let's face it, anybody that's watched the previous Sim Racing Magazine events I've broadcasted will know the name Mark Baxter-Jones. He has won both of them in very, very interesting fashion. First one was at Spa-Francorchamps, and he basically was second for the whole race until the very, very final corner, where Simon Povey, the only man to out-qualify him at the moment, made a little mistake right on the final lap and lost the win. But then, at Oulton Park, Mark Baxter-Jones absolutely decimated the field. He had incredible pace all the way through, and I am really excited to see how he gets on in this championship. Car in front of him is Paul Goffin in the Team SRM Porsche. We're not running a manufacturer's championship because, as you can imagine, Porsche would probably win. However, I say that, we've still got 2 McLarens in the top 4. Ed May was 4th a minute ago, and now he's down to 9th. That shows you how incredibly close it is at the top and how quickly it's changing. Ed May not able to hold his position. He was fastest in practice, but was that a lap with an off-track or 2? He's waiting to get a bit of room, I think, here before he goes for anything. Fausto Pinto and his teammate João Estevez will be fighting to see who's the best of the BMWs. Well, there goes Ed out the last corner. Swings it all the way around to the right and across the line. Love watching the McLaren through there. Looks really, really good. Austin Greatorex is a car we've not really looked at yet. The number 13 machine, he had that big accident earlier on, but this gorgeous car was done for him by Digital Motor Art, one of our series partners. And Austin is currently in 14th position. Just ahead of him is John Roberts, then Dan Bathy. Bit of shenanigans going on in front there. As Austin makes his way down the hill. Thank you everyone that's popped along to watch so far. Once qualifying gets out of the way, we have a 1 hour long race with fuel limited to 40% in these cars. So we should see 2 pit stops per driver. So it'll keep things nice and interesting. Maybe shake up the order a bit for drivers that aren't as experienced with completing pit stops in iRacing or calculating their fuel on the fly. It's bound to be a great evening's racing to get the championship underway. I hope you enjoyed that intro video as well, by the way. I made that yesterday. Talk about last minute. Looks like Johnny Ely and James Cummings have got identical lap times at the moment, and they're both 0.08 of a second off Stephen Haley. It's ridiculously close, with only a second, give or take a few thousandths, separating the top 16, with Rob Sharp in 16th place. Looking a bit further down the order, we've got Mark Elvin in 30th position. We do have a grid size of 34 cars here, so we don't quite have a capacity grid tonight. We have 31 drivers out on track, but some of them have commitments elsewhere. Jared Coleman's just trying to get a lap in at the moment. He's currently 31st. But still, only 2.6 seconds off the pace. Shows you how close it is. He's got Ed May right behind him. Ed in the McLaren weaving around a little bit. I think maybe Ed not happy with that lap. Thinks, I can probably do better. There's Mark Johnson. And hello race fans, Porsche Sport in the chat. Great to see you. Great to see you indeed. Love the early check-in as well from Porsche Sport, making sure we're all on our toes and all ready. As Dan Bathy, I think that was out of the road there. Out of the road. What sort of phrase is that from a commentator? Let's have a look. Oh no, it wasn't actually. Dan came to strife with Mark Elvin. Pretty sure it might have been Danny Jones that went off the track. It was. So Danny swings it to the left. Oh, that curb's just upset the car that little bit. And he comes to a stop just off the racing line. And yes, the Van Halen livery is awesome, isn't it, on Mark Johnston's car? Looks absolutely classic. Lovely shot of it coming through the final chicane. You get a really good look at the livery in the car itself. Still 2 McLarens in the top 4, though. I'm really impressed at the moment by the H Motorsport car of Andrew Hopley. Or H Motorsport, I think it is. And Stephen Haley of SimSport Racing International. Seems to have some good fans in the chat, does Stephen? Colin Wynn saying pedal on the right, Jared. Some encouragement there from Colin. We continue to watch Stephen Haley there as Simon Povey has jumped into the pits for a bit. John Roberts is off the road. Sounds like someone else is off the road as well. Johnny Elia has put it around at turn 6. John Roberts did recover. There he is. Pops over the hill in perfect timing. Doesn't look like he's damaged the car, I don't think. I suppose if he had, it's not far to go back, is it? At that point to have a quick reset. We go on board with John Roberts. Oh, I'm a bit gutted he's not got a bright green roll cage. Drops it down a gear very quickly. That is Stuart Clark on his left-hand side that he's going to go past. And John is going to get on with starting another lap. Got a few cars on their out laps. Baxter Jones does a 1:25.790 as John Roberts goes straight on. Whoa, and left and then right. Oh my God, how did Stuart Clark not hit him? Oh. Oh. I don't know what on earth happened there. Let's go to a blimp and see if we can see anything else of what happened here. So John went straight on. He went to try and straight line it. Look, the car kicks out and then it kicks back the other way. He stops. Stuart Clark, fantastic avoidance. And then one of the McLarens, ugh, I think the McLaren clipped Stuart. And then they just about got away with that, I'd say. Wow. Here's the 11/10 cars all working together. Mark Baxter Jones in the middle of this. He's got Johnny Elia just in front of him. And just behind him, Byron Crawford. Byron winning the AM class in the latest season of the Porsche Club of Great Britain Sim Racing Series. That was Mark Baxter Jones giving us a bit of a blip of the lights there. He's currently only 11 thousandths off the top spot, is Mark Baxter Jones. So his teammate's trying to help him out. He took a lot of curb there. I'd argue that was a slowdown and he nearly loses it over the curb on the exit. Mark is using every inch of the road here to keep the speed up. Is he able to do it? Doesn't look like he's done any personal bests or even purple sectors on that lap. No. Lap did not count for Mark Baxter Jones. Gary Tall is currently in 8th position. He's got his teammate Simon Povey leading the way. And that was James Cummings coming out of the pit lane. 6th place for him at the moment. He'll be pretty pleased with that. One man that won't be too chuffed with his position is Austin Greatrex. Austin is very, very quick. But maybe the GT4 cars might not be his forte. Either way, he's still got 8 3/4 minutes to go. So we'll see whereabouts he ends up. To be honest, it really is competitive, this field. Ridiculously competitive. I mean, some of the guys a bit further down are drivers that would usually be at least top 10 sort of performers in the PCGB Championship. But the 11/10 car's doing well at the moment for sure, and Colin Wynn knows it. This is David Patching, just crosses the line. Turns in a little bit early for turn 1, and that's how it can bite you. And the car's going to spit right as well. It just had a lot of momentum going its way on the right-hand side. And around she goes, unfortunately. This is Fausto Pinto. 21st at the moment, just making his way into turns 10A and 10B as they're known in the BMW. Over the top of the hill, the very angry looking machine makes its way through the final corner and across the line, and his lap time is a 1:27.38. His best is a 1:26.81, so we know he can do better than that. Out of everybody though, there's only 3 BMWs that have signed up for the whole championship. One of them that's not here is Heinz Meyer, a South African driver, not able to join us this evening. And that is the end of the lap there, I believe, for Fausto Pinto. Stephen Kershaw, currently inside the top 10. Azor, that's Stephen Haley off the road. Stephen's going to go on by thinking, haha. But it's easy to chuck it in a little bit too hard there, and with these cars mainly having the engines towards the back, the pendulum effect of the weight can really catch people out. Down the back straight, the little 718 roars its way. The little 718 that could. A bit of a clash there with our graphics. As wow, Ed May goes up to 3rd place. 1:25.6 right near the end of the session for Ed May. Across the line goes Stephen Kershaw. But wow, oh wow, Ed May makes it. 3 McLarens in the top 5. More McLarens than Porsches in the top 5. All McLarens and Porsches in the top 20. As off the road has gone Tom Slater. Now, how on earth have you done that, Tom? Oh, heck. Ralph Mayer's also been off the road. Now that's a car we've not seen much of yet either, is it? In the fragile Crockery on board car, one of our series partners, Crockery Direct. He's given us a good old look at the livery, but he's going to pull over to one side. So just verging on 5 minutes to go then. And we've got so many drivers still pushing the limits to try and get a time, and it looked like, to me, Paul Stout was a little bit out of shape there. Coming out of the right-hander. Behind him is Austin Greatorex in the background. Love this back straight section down towards the chicane. It's great. So high speed. Oh, look at that. Stout really pushing it through there. Really pushing hard indeed. Hope you are enjoying the show there, everybody. Don't forget, we do have an hour-long race still to come. And I'll be your commentator throughout, and broadcaster Chaz Draycott. Please do consider subscribing to my YouTube channel as well. I broadcast a number of different series, including my very own CDM Formula 1 World Championship. Yep, that's said right, Formula 1. We're using the Pro Mazdas on iRacing in F1 1997 liveries, having a similar-ish calendar, and the championship lasts from February to November. Round 2 of the season is tomorrow at Interlagos, and we'll be debuting a new qualifying format, which will be one-shot qualifying, drivers out on track one at a time. So if you are about tomorrow evening and you want to have a bit of a laugh, then you can watch that as well. And if you haven't already seen it, go and look back at the first round at Phillip Island, where qualifying was separated by 1,000th of a second between the top 2, and as the top 2 drivers in the race crossed the line, it was 0,000ths of a second. Unbelievable. I'll be joined by my good friend Jack Johns for that as well, known as The Racing Line. He's also got some fantastic series going on with TCR cars too. I was watching that yesterday. Milky in the chat, good to see you, mate. And Jakub Szymanski as well is one of the drivers in Formula 1, so he's happy that the The boys have been repped. There is Stephen Haley just pulling over to one side. We just saw the 11/10 Racing Team boys getting into flying formation. This is Mark Baxter-Jones looking back at his teammate Johnny Elia in car number 6. 3 of their cars inside the top 10. Great stuff for them, guys. They'll be really happy with how this is going so far. Into the final couple of corners they go. And across the line once more. So, just over 2 minutes left. Simon Povey is still fastest with a 1:25.411. But this man right here, Mark Baxter-Jones, is trying to beat him. However, at this point, he's actually giving his teammate, Johnny Elia, the slipstream. He's currently car 6 P6. One of 4 Porsches in the squad. It'll always be interesting to see how the championship shapes up. It seems like the qualifying graphic is broken, so apologies for that. Oh, sounded like Johnny might have just snatched a break or had a bit of understeer there. Minute and a half left of qualifying. Wow, doesn't half an hour fly when you're having fun, eh? I'm just really excited to see this field get going. We're going to be having a rolling start for each race in this championship. They'll have what's known as the short pace lap, so they'll probably start just down here on the back straight. As there you go, look, Mark moves out of the way for Johnny. Johnny chucks it through the chicane once more. He's going to get enough time to get another lap in if he really wants to. He does cross the line. Is it an improvement for Johnny Elia? It's not. 1:25.940. His best is a 1:25.85 as well, so he was close. Sounds like he's still going for it. We've got Dan Bathy off the road again in the DBTRS car. Oliver Carwadine doing something very important here and practicing pit entry, because look at the pit entrance here at Road Atlanta. It is not easy whatsoever. So he's making sure that he has got that down before he goes anywhere else. Paul Goffin still on a lap. 18th place at the moment. Screaming his way down the back straight once again. One of 2 Team SRM cars. Interestingly, one of the only teams, I think the only team, where they are teamed up, but both in different cars, actually. But yep, as Jakob has mentioned there, 1 second separating the top 18 drivers. And 3 of those tenths are the top 3. There across the line goes Paul Goffin. He finishes the session and improves, but does not gain a place, unfortunately. Just misses out on overtaking Rob Sharp. Mark Johnson is next across the line. Through he goes, and it's a 1:26.8, so no improvement for him. Johnny Elia makes his way into the pits. We still have Andrew Hopley in the number 25 McLaren out there, coming towards the end of a lap. That doesn't look like race pace to me. Or is it? It seems a little bit sedate in getting on the throttle, and yet he's also taking this moment to practice his pit lane entry. Looks very skinny sometimes, that McLaren, doesn't it? In certain liveries it looks brilliant. I mean, that does look brilliant, but it makes the car look very skinny. This makes it look very wide. Jared Coleman's car, oh, he's just overdone it a little bit down the hill into the chicane. He's going to be the last car to cross the line and put a time on the board. And he's not going to cross the line and put a lap on the board. He is going to head for the pits. So, first qualifying session of the season is done. And any moment now, it will tick over. iRacing will do its lovely thing where it's very subtle about this session changing over. And we will line up on our grid. But that is that. And we have the checkered flag being waved over on the right-hand side of your screen, as you see there by the marshal. And an hour-long race is about to get underway here at Road Atlanta, here on Chaz Draycott Media. First race of the season. So, there goes quali finishing. Let's see what we've got now then. We'll be able to take you through our grid for the first time this season in the SRM GT4 Challenge. So, pole position goes the way of Simon Povey, with Mark Baxter-Jones alongside him. Then it's two McLarens, Ed May and Andrew Hopley. Stephen Haley and Johnny Elia are 5th and 6th. James Cummings and Byron Crawford are on row 4, ahead of Gary Tall and Stephen Kershaw, who rounds out the top 10. Austin Greatorex will be looking for more, starting from 11th, with Carl Sharkey alongside him. Oliver Carwadine is 13th, with Dan Bathy in 14th. John Roberts and Tom Slater make up row 8. Rob Sharp and Paul Goffin are row 9, with Mark Johnson and Danny Jones rounding out your top 20. Stuart Clark and Fausto Pinto are 21st and 22nd, with Ryan Penny and João Estevez 23rd and 24th. 25th is Ian Hannon in the Shark Esports car, ahead of Jared Coleman in Clockwork Orange Racing. Then it's Andrew Marston, the man himself, in 27th, ahead of Ralph Mayer. David Patching is 29th, Paul Stout is 30th, and Mark Elvin is in 31st place. But still, only 2.5 seconds separating the entire lot. And you can see there's a bit of an empty space at the moment where Simon Povey is not, alongside Mark Baxter-Jones. But once he, John Roberts and João Estevez take to the grid, we will get this underway. Let us know in the chat who you think will be the ones to watch, who you think will take the win, and if you have any other predictions about how this race is going to pan out. They've been given the green flag now, so the iRacing pace car Porsche will disappear off up the road. And it is now up to Simon Povey and Mark Baxter-Jones to lead this huge field round towards turn 1 for the first time. 2 Porsches on the front row, 2 McLarens on the second row, a Porsche and a McLaren on the third row. So it's a nice mix at the top between those marks. And Simon Povey is on his marks. He's ready to go, and he has gone. And the Sim Racing Magazine GT4 Challenge is underway. And Edward May gets a fantastic leap off the line. Everybody else in the background taking it nice and single file. But look at these lot in the middle here. Stephen Haley's got a view of all 3 11/10 cars going around turn 1 together. Everybody else behind, though, knows it's a long race, and they are just taking it nice and steady through the opening corners. But Povey leads them. Then it's Ed May, Mark Baxter-Jones, Andrew Hopley just behind him, and Johnny Elia up a place as well. There's a number of drivers that have gone up 1 or 2 places here and there, but it's all tidy so far. It's Carl Sharkey in 11th position. Austin Greatorex just behind him. Look out for people losing it over the top of the hill. You will see them. Lovely stuff. There's the 2 Petrol Tuga BMWs right in the middle of the field as well. What a great clean start that is. But who is that down the inside? That is Stephen Kershaw. Sorry, it's not. It's Carl Sharkey. Stephen Kershaw's in front of Gary Tull. Out turn 10 they go. Everyone's still keeping it clean. This is lovely, lovely clean racing. Absolutely wonderful stuff from the entire field. Doesn't that sound great? So Povey leads Ed May. Now don't forget, Ed was fastest in practice. So he's got something to prove here. A little bit of a move in the background there. Carl Sharkey's still trying to have a go at Gary Tall in the opening stage. Very close as well. Paul Goffin and Rob Sharp right together in the middle of the pack. Well, I touch wood when I say this. No casualties yet. Everybody keeping it nice and clean on the first lap. Every single car made it round the first lap without incident. You've got to love that. GG, everybody. That really reflects even the spirit of this championship as well. You know, there's so many great guys in this series, as I said before. And the way that they all come together really shows in their racing. Now, Mark Baxter-Jones gets a great run on Ed May there out of turn 6. Ed's on his right-hand side. You can hear the McLaren sort of making the scratching noise that it does. Look how much wider the McLaren is. Ed's going to try and make it as wide as possible, but Mark Baxter-Jones simply drives around the outside of him. My goodness me, Mark Baxter-Jones is a determined boy today, isn't he? Look at that. Now Ed May's tucked right up behind him. He's not going to get much slipstream from that, though. He needs to be careful about potentially bumping him. But these two want to try and work together because Simon Povey will just disappear into the distance if they don't. Look, Ed's been a good boy, hanging back slightly. He's not bumping him. There's no point doing that yet. Maybe he could even save a bit of fuel in this situation. You never know. Andrew Hopley just behind him as well is nice and close. Dan Bathy's in the thick of it here with Oliver Carwadine just behind him in the McLaren. Austin Greatorex just in front of him. Biggest mover in the field so far, Jared Coleman. He's gained 3 positions from where he started. 26th on the grid up to 23rd. Fastest lap of the race for Povey. Byron Crawford and Stephen Haley are side by side through turn 1. Byron, AM champion of the Porsche Club of Great Britain Sim Racing Series, tries to outdo the number 2 car. Colin Wynn chanting in chat, MBJ. MBJ for Mark Baxter Jones. He's been the king of all Sim Racing Magazine events so far. Oh no, Mark Elvin's off. Mark Elvin is off and in the wall. Let's see how he got here. Just bounced it over the curb, clips the grass, car goes one way, oh, and then it just overcorrects, and oh, that's a sickening hit. That's a very, very big hit into the barrier for Mark Elvin. And he is still there. No, he's just recovered the car, actually. Now, Simon Povey has a 1.3 second lead at the moment. He's going to be a very happy boy about that one. Still got the guys chasing behind him, though, but it seems like Ed May just can't quite keep up that pace that Mark Baxter Jones has suddenly unlocked from his car. This is Gary Tall lining up Stephen Kershaw using the Martini lines down the middle of the livery. Down the inside goes Gary. Lovely respect between the two of them, and through he goes. Now watch Kyle Sharkey. Can he capitalise on this? Or Austin Greatorex. These two have been racing together for ages here on iRacing. Since the very start of PCGB in lockdown 2020, and Austin Greatorex sweeps around the outside. Kershaw's on the grass. They've got Dan Bathy in there with them as well, another regular to these sorts of fights, and Oliver Carwadine. Sharkey still on the inside of Greatorex. Still on the inside of Greatorex. Austin still hanging it out there, and he does it. Kyle decides to slot back into place for the right-hander at turn 3. Dan Bathy's a little bit wide, but manages to save it. He's got his teammate Tom Slater only 2 cars back as well. Boy, this is great racing. This is exactly what we wanted to see. You've got Rob Sharp at the back of this train here. He's got a hell of a lot of cars in front of him. You can see there the 164 of Paul Goffin. Just ahead of him is then John Roberts. This is just great so far, isn't it? Look at that. Rob Sharp finds some incredible grip around the outside. Makes Paul really have to think about it. Only 1 car in the pits so far, though, and that is, unfortunately, Mark Elvin. My God, listen to the noise. 2 BMWs have been split up slightly. Fausto Pinto in 21st, João Estevez 24th. There's a move going on here. Byron Crawford still fighting with James Cummings. Still fighting, still fighting, still fighting, and Byron's just going to get in front before they make their way down the hill. Now Gary Tall's going to want to capitalise on this as well. Baxter Jones, fastest lap of the race, 1:25.5. Baxter Jones on the mission, and look at that, James Cummings is on a mission down the inside of Byron Crawford. Byron gives him loads of room. Nice respect. And once again, goes through. There was 2 purple sectors in that last lap by Ed May, 2 purple sectors by Baxter Jones, but Mark's done it that quickly. And he has got the fastest lap of the race, and he's on the move. You see there, the last time that he did was the best time. Top 5 sort of together at the moment. Johnny Elia just holding on to the back of Andy Hopley. Stephen Haley's 1.6 seconds back off this. Oh, that's a bouncy old Porsche, isn't it? Johnny Elia having a right old ride and a wrangle and a rodeo over the curb. Manages to keep the car down on earth. Show you how the field is spreading out slightly at the moment. You can see there. Great to see that Mark Elvin is still going. He may be a lap down, but he's got on with it. And he is still going, but most of the field's still very much together. Now, as this race goes on, obviously it will spread out. It is an hour long, this race. So it's technically, in real-world GT standards, a sprint race for these cars, but there is an element of endurance in this because they have to do 2 pit stops, and they will do 2 pit stops as Baxter Jones does another fastest lap of the race. They will do 2 stops with the amount of fuel they've got. There's Austin Greatorex looking down the inside of Stephen Kershaw. He gets it done into turn 1. Stephen's only 1 position down on where he started, to be honest with you. So he's doing a good job at the moment. Carl Sharkey has got company as well. Mark Johnson's got company, and that is grass. As oh, he comes back on just in front of Fausto Pinto. Manages to rejoin safely. Oh no, David Patching's off. David's off. He's literally patching up the grass. Manages to catch it though and get back going again. Now look at all these boys in the middle of the field. Kershaw under attack from Carl Sharkey. Cuts the nose off the 77. And Dan Bathy has got his mirrors full of Oliver Carwadine and his teammate Tom Slater. The DBTRS team only submitted their team name yesterday as well, but it's a very, very strong squad, Dan Bathy and Tom Slater. The cars in front of us are not too far ahead either, actually, as Carl Sharkey again looks down the inside on Stephen Kershaw. And again, Stephen is nice and respectful with it. Oh, he runs a little bit slow on the exit, and look at that. Through goes the 91 of Dan Bathy. Sorry, not through goes 91. Dan Bathy gets held up, and suddenly the two TBTRS cars swap around. Tom Slater goes through. Oliver Carwadine says thank you very much. And Dan Bathy is, I think, let through by Stephen Kershaw there. I think Stephen's sort of saying, no, you go, mate. I don't want to be holding you up. Let's have a look at it then. Carl Sharkey goes down the inside. Stevens just tightened that lineup. Car understeers. Dan gets into the back of him. Oliver Carwadine dives to the right. So too does Tom Slater. Great awareness by the pair of them to go through. It's all sounding very good, isn't it? Now the lead gap is coming down here. Simon Povey and Mark Baxter-Jones are 0.7 of a second apart right now. And that is coming down with the slipstream. So Mark Baxter-Jones doing everything he can. Ed May isn't exactly getting away from Andy Hopley either. But I'm intrigued to see how these cars and these drivers all get on over the race with their differing pit stop strategies. 10 minutes down, that's all, I know. 1/6 of the way through the race. Fuel should last about 20-25 minutes, I reckon. You will see some drivers maybe pit a little bit early, take a bit more fuel than, well, a bit less fuel than full maybe, have a short stint at the beginning of the race and calculate it to go full to the end, as Gary Tall goes down the inside of Byron Crawford. Byron says, not on your life. Back on the right hand side he goes. Oh, Gary moves him over to the right hand side and says, no, no thank you. As oh, Byron runs a bit wide. James Cummings nearly loses out a bunch of time for that. He loses just a couple of tenths to Austin Greatorex behind him. But still, great racing all the same from these guys. It's been nice and clean so far, I have to say. Tom Slater and his teammate Dan Bathy having a go at the back of this McLaren with Oliver Carwadine at the wheel. Oliver currently up one place from where he started, and it was the position that we saw him gain earlier on. And look at that, Tom just seems so stable through there. Well, Mark Elvin's had a problem, I'm afraid. Mark's just come to a stop. He's come back on the circuit though, and he's cracking on again. Good stuff from Mark. Now what does Tom Slater do here? He's not going for the move yet. You could hear him lifting off the throttle slightly. Puts his nose down the inside of Ollie. Now I think he knows that Carl Sharkey could get away quite quickly if they keep fighting, so they want to stay in that train for that slipstream down the back straight. It's close further up as well with Gary Tall only just ahead of Byron Crawford. Making that move a lap ago. Gary started 9th, he's up to 7th. And we have Fausto Pinto making his way into the top 20 in the BMW as well, the petrol Tuga car. Under pressure from Paul Goffin and Mark Johnson at the moment. But that BMW, wow, it looks like it's got some front end bite, doesn't it? Paul Goffin's made a bit of a mistake there. Mark Johnson wants to try and capitalise. The other BMW, João Estevez, has just been off the road and recovered. Let us know what you think so far, though, everybody. It's been a nice, tidy race, hasn't it? Very tidy indeed. There's a move. Tom Slater's finally gone down the inside of Oliver Carwadine. Lights up the rears, though. We're going to go on board with the best seat in the house here, Dan Bathy. He's going to see all of this going on. Let's see the speed as they go up over 200 kilometres an hour down this back straight. That's 120 mile an hour in Queen's English. And Dan backs out of it. Dan Backy. Look at that, Slater's not backing out of it though. He says, nope, I'm down the inside. I'm going to try and give it a go. He thinks the door's open, does Dan. One way, then the other. Can't quite get the cutback on the McLaren though. Oliver's putting that car exactly where he needs to, or is he? There's a tiny overlap. No, he's not been able to do it. Good mate of mine, John Roberts, just behind this fight as well. He's now got a bird's eye view of it all, or at least a front row seat, if I use the right descriptive. So much action, though, up and down the order. It's great. Very, very close racing. I honestly think these GT4 cars don't always get the love that they deserve. And that's why we've put this championship together, really. They're usually just a subcategory in endurance racing or GT3 racing, aren't they? These GT3 cars, sorry, the GT4 cars. Getting ahead of myself. But still, what fantastic racing we're getting. Oh, Dan Bathy's all over the grass. Still trying to get past Oliver Cowdean. Oliver's thinking, come on, mate, just get on with it. Cowdean eventually concedes. And now he needs to think about Stephen Kershaw, who's right up his exhaust pipe. But it's nose to tail, a bunch of cars. And it's great, great fun so far here at Road Atlanta. We've got 12 rounds of this. And still they fight, John Roberts and Rob Sharp. Side by side on their way down to the chicane. Trying to just maybe squeeze one another. Just put a bit of pressure on. Oh, John's just given enough room on the inside. And look at that, Danny Jones. Nino, right behind Rob Sharp. And then Stuart Clark in there as well. All of these boys having a fantastic dice. We need to come back to this because James Cummings and Byron Crawford have had a bit of a ding-dong. And Austin Greatorex has said, thank you very much, boys. I'll take that. Bit sideways through turn 3, though. Cummings goes to the left-hand side of him. Now Greatorex is going to have the inside. Cummings has to concede. Lovely stuff by Austin. Let's have a look at how this all started, although should we stay with it? We'll come back to it. So Cummings looks down the inside of Crawford, just doesn't back out at all. Thinks I'm going to go for it, runs wide. Wow, that's close. And then that's literally how it all started. So we caught it as it happened. Austin Greatorex now at the front of this train. Oh, Fausto Pinto's off in the BMW. Fausto Pinto in the 23 M4. There's his teammate taking avoided action. Oh, he's just lost it himself. Back end gets away. Oh, and it's the tiniest touch on the wall. Tiniest touch. No damage, though, by the look of it. This is still going on as well. Look at that for a chuck down the inside by Carl Sharkey on Byron Crawford. Lovely. Byron says no thank you. He's been a right fighter, hasn't he? Austin Greatorex then trying to get ahead of James Cummings as well just in front of this, but we're going to stick with these guys. Austin gets the move done. Byron doesn't. Sharkey does. Look at that round the outside. Bit of the grass, though. Austin Greatorex comes over to the right to cover off James Cummings. Is he going to be able to defend this? James is going to try and carry as much speed as he can around the outside, but no, Austin gets it done, and Sharkey stays ahead of Crawford as well. Wow. Great battles going on all the way through this field. I am absolutely in love, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you are too. Don't forget, you can hit that like button. You can hit that subscribe button. No, Stephen Kershaw. Stephen Kershaw's doing a Tony Hawk along the barriers. Andrew Hopley. Hopley's been off as well. Oh, that's Greatorex. Greatorex is off the circuit now. It's all gone to pot. Said I was in love and that's it. Breaks your heart. What has happened to Andy Hopley? Oh, it's going to be turn 6, isn't it? Oh, just that bounce really upsets the car. I'll tell you what, he's done a mega job there not to go in a wall. Oh. Times that all right-ish, I guess. And then, oh, Austin's done it all on his own. Austin's clattered the barrier. I was worried that James Cummings had hit him or caused some sort of issue, but no. Austin batters the wall. Now, they do get a fast repair in this championship, so if Austin can drag that car back to the pits and take an early stop, he might be able to make it to the end. Obviously, they do take 2 stops, so he just needs to equal it out, but yeah, that's not a well-behaved car. He's going to have the number 73 of João Esteves going down his inside now. in the BMW. Zhao has to get out of it, though. Austin still able to carry great speed through a corner. And yeah, there you go. Austin, unfortunately, into the pits. That now promotes Johnny Elia up into 4th place. Stephen Haley is 5th in the McLaren. Whoa, for now. Flipping heck, Stephen. Wow. Gary Toll is 6th. Andrew Hopley is 7th. Oh, for now. Good Lord, boys. Good Lord, they are keeping me on my toes. Dan Bathy's having a moment down the straight now. How do you go off there? What has caused this? Whoa, Dan was distracted by something there, wasn't he? Woohoo! There was certainly something gained Dan Bathy's attention there for a second. Wow, that was mighty feisty. Whew. Can we calm down yet? Not a chance. We're not even at a third race distance yet. And I'm sorry that the logos keep doing that big blinky thing. I don't know why they're doing that. I am going to try and get the logos set up on the overlay, so it doesn't become its own slideshow and start blinking out all the time. This is Stuart Clark and Danny Jones, 2 drivers that have continuously fought together in the AM class of the Porsche Club of Great Britain Sim Racing Championship. As you've probably guessed by now, that's where I know most of these drivers from. Here's the other Shark Esports car, by the way, number 7 of Ian Hannon. He's chasing down Jared Coleman, Paul Goffin, Mark Johnson and Stephen Kershaw. A little bit off this pack, but only about 6 or 7 tenths of a second. As you can see, they're all having their own battles as well. Jared Coleman trying everything he can to get that McLaren past Paul Goffin. Oh, Tom Slater and John Roberts. Oh, Tom Slater's off. He's in the middle of the road. Gets going again. I saw him go up and down the order. Oh, he's done the same again. Kicks it one way, then the other. Oh, my life. I think that was John Roberts. That was mighty close, that. Oh, excuse me. That's what happens when you click the wrong button, I guess. Now, this is the battle for the lead. Still going on here. Simon Povey, what a great lead he's had. But Mark Baxter-Jones is right in the picture. Mark has not disappeared here. Ed May is quite a way back now, 5 seconds. The car behind them on track is Mark Elvin in the golden McLaren. That's the number 808 car. But yeah, Simon Povey and Mark Baxter-Jones. I mean, these two did pretty much what they're doing right now at Spa in the first special event that we did together, Sim Racing Magazine and I. And they're just the class of the field. 2 of the best looking cars on the grid. Well, 2 of the best looking cars in the air as well by Simon Povey standards. Still great stuff. Another good battle to watch as well is actually this one that we've got going on here. He's got Gary Toll, Andrew Hopley, James Cummings and Carl Sharkey all right together as they go through turn 6. Down the back straight they go. You'll see Andrew just... I can't even get his name out. See Andrew just close up bit by bit in the slipstream. And as they go into turn 10, hard on the brakes. Needs to get a good exit out of here to make sure that he's got the slipstream down the back straight once again. And the best place to view this from is surely Carl Sharkey's Porsche. Number 77, P9 at the moment, started 12th on the grid, so he's had a good move forward so far. Biggest mover in the field is Stuart Clark. He's gained 6 positions. There is a move going on as Hopley looks down the inside of Gary Toll and gets it done as well, and it all backs up a little bit. James Cummings has to get out of it. Look at the line taken by Carl Sharkey there. Gets a nice cutback, and car's going into the pits. That is Gary Toll. Gary Toll, one of the very first drivers to take a scheduled stop, but he's been going very, very quickly, so it's understandable that he may not have saved any fuel so far, but just over 21 minutes and he is in the pits, or should we say just under 22 if we're getting picky. Doesn't look like anybody else is going back in the pits yet. Mark Johnson and Stephen Kershaw are still close together, having a good fight as well a bit further down the order. This is for 17th and 18th position. Oh, Cummings is off. James Cummings is in the wall. And is the car broken? It is. Oh, James Cummings' car is absolutely wrecked. What's happened here? Oh my goodness me. Oh, well, James Cummings has had a massive, massive off there. Through turn 6, the car completely takes off, hits to the right. And wow, he's very lucky not to get caught by anybody else there. So look, watch this. The car just ricochets off the suspension, bounces. He's turning left, he's on the brakes, but it just locks up and smacks into the barrier. And as I said, very, very lucky not to get hit by anybody else here. But that is a real, real shame for James Cummings. He was having such a good race. And now Stephen Haley's off the road. Stephen Haley's off big time. That McLaren is a wreck, and Stephen Haley will not be going anywhere soon. That thing will not move. Wow. These cars, they do say they're difficult to drive. Oh, Stephen's just caught it, but wow. Overcorrects and completely ruins the whole left-hand side of the car. Well, that's shaking things up. Two big names out of this race as of right now. A few more cars into the pits, so we'll wait to see how those stops filter out. As you can see here, nobody in the top 20 yet has pitted, so still needs time to all filter back through. But this is your race lead battle. Simon Povey, he's led 24 minutes of this race so far. Mark Baxter-Jones got past Ed May quite early on and has stuck with him from there. There is Ed, just up the hill. Johnny Elia has really closed in on him, actually. Johnny's now only 1.1 seconds off the back of Ed May. And into the pits comes race leader Simon Povey. Simon gets the car in, and Mark Baxter-Jones goes through. Ed May in as well. So too Johnny Elia. So it looks like Mark Baxter-Jones has been able to save fuel sitting behind Simon in this early stage. Maybe he's only got one more lap in him. Even still, could make the difference. Not sure these guys are going to take tyres in any of these stops. They'll probably do about an hour. John Roberts has continued to go through as well. So he's obviously saved a bit of fuel in some of these battles. Still got cars in the pits now. Massive amount of cars as well. Where is Simon Povey and when is he going to come out? 18 seconds stationary, 19, 20. The only reference we've got so far is Gary Tall, really, was stationary for 22. Simon Povey stationary for 23 seconds. And back out of the pits he goes. So we'll show this graphic on the left-hand side for just a minute. So you can see who has pitted and who hasn't. So Simon Povey and Ed May both pitted. Mark Baxter-Jones, though, is going to be the interesting one. He is going to filter back in somewhere in all of this, but we just don't know where. Austin Greatorex and Danny Jones going past those cars that were in the pits, and here comes Mark Baxter-Jones then. Let's ride on board as he heads into the pits. Looks like that steering wheel isn't straight to me. I'm not sure if that's just me. Well, it didn't look like that steering wheel was completely straight. Got a battle going on between Byron Crawford, Carl Sharkey and Dan Bathy. 8th, 9th and 10th at the moment. I'm going to be a little bit biased for a second, and I'm going to say, if you haven't seen any of Dan Bathy's work, by the way, do go and check him out on Instagram. You will be blown away by Dan's photography. I had the pleasure of finally meeting him at a testing day at Donington Park, not Daytona, flipping heck, at Donington Park a few weeks ago. We've spoken quite a lot and finally got the chance to meet, and he is a really, really top guy, but my God, is he a good photographer. Anyway, Mark Baxter-Jones has just started crawling out of the pit lane, and it's not a big run out of there. He's actually taken 0.6 of a second more fuel than Simon Povey, and as you were, gentlemen, he is right behind him. So Austin lost a lot of time on that initial pit stop, it seems, because of the fact he had to limp home with damage after that incident. So that's literally where it's put him now. So he's filtered back in. Ian Hannon is in the pits. He's going to be the last car to pit, I believe. Yeah, he's just actually on his way out now. So everyone's done at least one stop now. That's the first cycle done with. So that means there'll be another get your words out. Another pit stop around a sort of 48-minute mark, I reckon. 48 to 50 minutes. So these guys will have to try and put as little fuel as possible in at the end to make their pit stop as short as possible. That's going to be an extra added element to this championship. Is calculating the fuel. Now this is Austin Greatorex trying to overtake Stuart Clark. Goes around the outside. Nice stuff into the double right-hander. He's got Tom Slater behind him though. And Tom is not able to get through as he's very sideways on the exit. Danny Jones will have got a better run than him there as well. Now one man that interests me in all of this is Andrew Hopley, because he has continued to move forward despite having that spin early on. Still in 5th place, but he's 10 seconds off the back of Johnny Elia, who's only 1 second behind Ed May. So it's close there. Oliver Carwadine and John Roberts are having a little ding-dong as well. McLaren versus Porsche. John tries to get a cut back, and he does. Doesn't quite have the overlap though, and he decides to back out of that momentarily. They've got Rob Sharp for company, and Stuart Clark has conceded to Tom Slater, and he says, go on Tom, you go after Austin. Tom was another real superstar of the PCGB Championship. He was so quick. Great driver in the AM class in Season 3, and then really quick in Season 4 as well. The back of the front, still Simon Povey. Very solid run so far in the tall and taller motorsport machine. Very bold livery. Mark Baxter-Jones still trying to close him down. And there's 5.8 seconds back to Ed May. But as I told you, he's not got Johnny Elia too far back. The gap's got up to about 1.8 seconds. It'll go down to a lot less than that, though, with Ed May making that mistake. You could hear him go off the track onto the grass. And Ed has lost a lot of momentum there. Now Johnny's going to close in on him here. The gap's down to 0.6 of a second. Now Ed might be slightly rattled by that mistake. It takes away a bit of your confidence for the next couple of corners at least. We're about to hit the halfway point of the race. And Johnny Elia starting to look a bit menacing here. He wants 2 11/10 cars on the podium. Look how bouncy and bobbly this circuit is. It's incredible, isn't it? Let's not forget this is all fixed setup as well, so everybody is on the exact same setup here. We're using the IMSA medium downforce setup on all of the cars. Any balance of performance is basically left down to iRacing, so we don't add our own and complicate things further. This is Rob Sharp currently chasing down John Roberts and Oliver Carwadine for a place in the top 10. Oliver just holding on to that at the moment. And we go back into the slipstreaming fest once again on the back straight. Look at that though, Rob Sharp doesn't really want to know. Stays over on his own line, decides not to stick with them too much. Nice tidy stuff. And I tell you what, that's probably the word to describe the entire race so far, is it not? Tidy. Absolutely tidy. It's been great to watch so far. All of these drivers have been driving with real respect and clean racing, but still competitive racing. That's the thing. It's not taken anything away from the action. It's not detracted from the racing at all, has it? Right now, though, 2 closest cars on track are these boys. Tom Slater right behind Austin Greatorex, cars 13 and 53. Big bounce over the curves by both of them. Look at the speed of them down the hill. 130 k's at the apex. And that, I believe, there just in front is Mark Elvin in the golden McLaren. It is car 808. And Stephen Haley is back running again. Oh, as I think Mark may have held Austin up slightly there. There'll be a flash of the lights, I'm sure, on the exit. But Austin's going to get a bit of slipstream now. Tom Slater's going to get the same, and so too is Stuart Clark. And they want Mark to do him a favour here and get out of the way. Austin tries to stay close to the McLaren, tries to use what is little side draft here on iRacing. Stays down the inside though and holds the position for now from Tom Slater. Lovely. Now Andrew Hopley's under pressure from Carl Sharkey here. And John Roberts has just lost a place to Rob Sharp as well. But Hopley pushing hard. Pushing very hard indeed. That, I believe, just in front of them is David Patching in the Porsche. These guys make their way through the traffic ever further. Now, Ralph Mayer has just lost a place to James Cummings, who has just stolen that away from him on his way back through the field. James obviously damaged his car quite a lot, and he has had it repaired and goes back out there. And that's the good thing about these fast repairs. You know, the drivers may still be at a bit of a disadvantage, but they still push hard to get back up through the field. Now you get points for finishing in the top 20 in this championship. We've tried to be sort of generous, but at the same time a little bit, let's call it, well, I can't even think of the word. Inspiring. That's what we call it. You know, you have to inspire these guys to really chase for points, to get up there and try and score some. Get a top 20 finish, and it'll mean the world to them. Oh, that sounded like somebody went off the track there. Ralph Mayer just went off for a second. Here's another battle on track. It's a lot more spread out now, isn't it? Look, that's how the field is spread. Oh, big contact. Oliver Cowdean and John Roberts, side-by-side contact. John's off the road. And that is going to go down like a lead balloon. Wow, what on earth happened there? So John got the run, had a cut back on Ollie's right-hand side. Ollie went to the right to avoid Rob Sharp. Didn't know John was there. Seemed like John had really done a good job of sneaking up the inside, and he just had no idea he was there. Someone else that's just dropped off again is actually John Roberts. John Roberts is still just creeping back around. I think the steering's broken. Let's have a look. Yeah, something is very, very broken about that little Porsche. However, there has been another development, I'm afraid. It involves this man, Austin Greatorex. He's just chucked it in that little bit too hard to turn 6. And it's gone backwards. And he very hurriedly gets it across the road. Oh, John's gone off again. I think that might be a jump back to the pits for John Roberts. That's a real shame. It's just an innocent mistake by Oliver Cowdean. Just didn't know that John had snuck down the inside like that. And he was just trying to avoid the car in front of him, and that was that. Now this is still a great fight though. Andrew Hopley, Carl Sharkey, Dan Bathy. 3 guys who I've seen in multiple series and be very quick in each of them. Great to have 3 names like this so close together on the circuit, battling hard. Down the back straight once more we go. And Carl is definitely closer to Andrew than Dan is to Carl. That's for sure. And look at that. Last minute look down the inside by Carl Sharkey. Doesn't quite get it done, but can he get a cut back on Andrew Hopley? He's put him offline. Is it going to be enough? I think there's a tiny overlap. Andrew's giving him the room. Really nice, courteous stuff from him. Carl tries to tuck the car down the inside. Still there. Hard on the brakes they go. Oh, Andrew cuts that fine. He worked that to perfection there. And he's still got the overlap. Into turn 3. They don't want to go side by side through there. And they don't. Carl Sharkey gets through. Now what can Dan Bathy do about this McLaren? Andrew Hopley's had a fantastic race so far, but it seems like over a longer run these Porsches just have a little something extra. over the crest of the hill. Look out below and look out behind, because Byron Crawford's suddenly catching up with this lot as well. He wants a piece of the pie. Dan Bathy just not able to get his nose down the inside, but this is exactly what Carl Sharkey wants right now. He wants these boys to fight. Jared Coleman has just come off the track and come back on. Oh, he's gone off again. I think that was more in avoidance of the traffic behind him. Has he just gone a little bit too hot? Yeah, that's just a tiny, tiny bit too hot through turn 1, and that's how easy it is to do. And then, yeah, he just gets out of the way, everybody. Oh, that was Ryan Penny just having a minute there. He's got Stephen Haley going down his inside. Stephen's just unlapping himself. He's currently 1 lap down on the leaders. We've got 4 cars that are 1 lap down. Andrew Marston has had an issue and dropped down, unfortunately. Although Andy's pit stop was 54 seconds, so I think he might have taken tyres when pretty much everybody else hadn't. Looked like Baxter Jones was off the circuit for a second there. I think maybe he was just having a little moment at turn 6, as everybody has been doing. But it's still Simon Povey leading this race. But right now, I have to say, I think Mark Baxter Jones is doing the right thing here. He is holding on to 2nd place and staying in this all-important slipstream behind Simon Povey. Because if he can save enough fuel and take 1 lap less worth of fuel in the pits, and he stays this close until said pit stop, he could easily jump him. And that would be the 2nd time in a couple of months that Simon Povey has lost outright at the death to Mark Baxter Jones, and I know that he will be hoping that is not the case. 3 more Porsches for you here. Danny Jones, Stephen Kershaw and Paul Goffin in the number 164 Team SRM machine. As mentioned before, 1 of 2 Team SRM cars out there. One's a Porsche, one's a McLaren. As Danny Jones, I think, went a little bit too hot there. Austin Greatrex has gone way too hot. Austin's having a rough old time, isn't he? 17th place at the moment. He's dropped 6 places from where he started. I said he'll be after more. It's not quite come to him yet. But he's a fighter, is Austin. And he continues to push on. Continuing to push on is Andrew Hopley, who's suddenly right behind Carl Sharkey again. And he's putting some severe pressure on the back of that Porsche. McLaren looking very, very racy, very, very feisty. However, through the left-hander there is where a lot of the confidence is going to be knocked. For Andrew Hopley, that's where he had his off earlier. We've got a car off the road just behind. Rob Sharp has come to strife. And that's that for Rob. He's damaged it. He's bent the car into the wall. Is he going to clip this curb on the right? No. Whoa, it suddenly just gains a lot of grip to the right. And oh no. Oh, it's broken the front right, hasn't it? It's trying to turn in. Oh, we've had an issue here for Jared Coleman. Oh my God, we've had an issue for a number of cars. Ian Hannon has been off the road. And that's Mark Elvin. Oh. João Estevez caught up in that. Stephen Haley caught up in that. Oh my goodness. Let's get a blimpy boy on this then. It's going to go behind the trees, isn't it? So Mark Elvin goes off. Oh, João Estevez piles into it. Oh, and Stephen Haley. Oh, Mark Johnson just gets a bit of contact in it as well. John Roberts just about misses that. But my goodness me, Stephen Haley came flying in there. Oh, he'd already tried to get the car stopped. Just lost the back end. Look at John Roberts around this as well. Big, big moment. Further down the order, numbers of cars damaged in that. Not that that's a very good sentence. Now, these two are at the front, but these two are second and third, fighting over the final podium spot. And Johnny Elia, the absolute superstar that he is putting pressure on my good commentary friend Ed May. Ed also racing in the Chaz Draycott Media Formula 1 World Championship for Sauber. By the way, Austin Greatrex has had a second pit stop here, so Everyone else in the top 20, as you can see, has still only had the one stop. There's Andrew Marston is off the road. Something's happened to the McLaren there. He's been off the road for a minute. Not quite sure what's gone on there. Oh, turned in a little bit on Mr. Elvin. And then the car sat there for some time. Not quite sure whether it knocked something out of place. It can often, you know, you can have a wheel take a very sudden hit in sim racing and disconnect, or have a USB issue or something. Johnny Elia there flashing the lights at Ralph Mayer, saying, get out of the way. Coming through. Back on the back straight we go. Oh, and I believe that's the end of the line for Stephen Haley. And Austin Greatrex as well is out of the race. I thought Austin was taking his second stop, but it seems that he has decided to call it a night, unfortunately. Stephen Haley in the chat as well, actually. Stephen, absolutely gutted for you, buddy. Absolutely gutted. Not much you could do there. You tried to get the car stopped, but unfortunately the incident was too soon up the road. Carl Sharkey dives into the pits. Carl is one of the first to blink with taking his second pit stop. Gary Toll goes through. Gary's in a bit of no man's land at the moment. He's got 11 seconds back to Carwadine, and he's then got a good 3.5 seconds up the road to Dan Bathy ahead of him. So he's not got too many friends to play with at the moment, but he'll be happy with that because he can just churn the laps out and just get the times in. The only problem with that is he's got no slipstream. Carwadine's not going to get any slipstream out there, is he? Running wide at turn 1, makes the most of it, goes up to turn 3 and rejoins. The battles are coming thick and fast though. Byron Crawford now under pressure from Dan Bathy. Byron sits in 6th position at the moment. Looking at our race leader, we've still got 21 cars on the lead lap. The last of which is Paul Stout, who's just crossing the line ahead of these boys. But back to this. Dan Bathy, Byron Crawford, side by side, down towards the chicane. Byron puts the car in the middle of the road. Hard onto the brakes they both go. Is Dan later? A little bit. Byron tucks the car in nicely. Dan runs a little bit deep on the brakes, actually. Has to tighten up the second part of the corner. Neither of them come into the pits this time round. Gary Tall makes his way into the pits. He's going to be the next one to take on fuel. 15 minutes of this race left to go. A quarter of the first round of the Sim Racing Magazine GT4 Challenge here on Chaz Draycott Media. Brought to you in association with Blinds to Go, Digital Motor Art, Orris Digital, Crockery Direct, Mydas Simulations, and Shark eBikes as well. This is Jared Coleman, who's had a great race so far, actually. Started in 26th place on the grid, and he's up to 17th. Inside the points, may I add. And he's going to try and have a go at Ryan Penny here and gain another place out of that, but no. Nothing doing this time round for him. Currently James Cummings is the last car inside the top 20. He's the last man that will be scoring a point. You do get a point for pole position as well. So Simon Povey, who's just coming through to finish another lap with Mark Baxter-Jones glued to him at the hip. Simon Povey is going to gain an extra point. Jared Coleman, after we just stopped looking at him, has just had to come back on. He's just had a bit of a spin down at turn 1. Let's have a look here what happened to poor old Jared. Oh, that corner's caught him out a few times today. Whoa, the BMW arrives in shot sideways. Everybody avoids him. Good stuff by Jared there to get the car off the road to the left-hand side. Still inside the top 20, though. Still ahead of Paul Stout, but of course, we need to wait for some of these pit stops to just fathom out. You can see a couple of the guys have taken 2 stops. Not all of them, though. Sharkey and Tall, 13th and 14th. Andrew Hopley is also in the pits now as well. He's on the way to completing his second stop. It's getting to crunch time now. We've got duos everywhere. Simon Povey and Mark Baxter-Jones are fighting for first and second. Ed May and Johnny Elliott for third and fourth. Then Dan Bathy and Byron Crawford for fifth and sixth. And then Oliver Carwadine's on his own, but Stuart Clark and Tom Slater are battling over 8th and 9th. Steve Kershaw isn't too far off the back of them either. Watching these guys just guide their way through the top of the circuit, but oh, Stuart's a little bit wide through the right-hander, and it looks to me like this could be a move for Tom Slater, although the damage on the front of that car clearly affecting the straight line speed of it. Look, even in the slipstream he's not really gaining anything. Only now has he started to take away a couple of thousandths, but it's not much. Stuart Clark stays in front. So more cars into the pits. Crawford, Carwadine, they're both in now. Some of these guys really making this fuel last until the latter stages. Now Andrew Hopley is one of the guys that's pitted recently. So too is Carl Sharkey right behind him. Car in front though, pitted a while ago. Hopley just dives out to the right to try and make a move. Maybe it's a little bit too much for him. Oh, Ian Hannon's gone off the road in the Sharkey Esports car, and that's a big one. That's surely got to be a bit of contact that's put him out there. He's got John Roberts with him. It's McLaren. Oh, John moves over to the right to avoid Marston. And that is a massive, massive hit for Ian Hannon. That's a very, very high-speed impact. So Ian goes over to the right. John's on the left, and he comes right just to avoid the McLaren. I think Ian wanted to try and just close the gap off to the left slightly. And wow, look at that. You've got a view of Andy all the way down to the corner. At the end of the day, though, that was not the priority for Ian Hannon. That's such a shame. Now, Baxter-Jones and Elia have both gone through. Now, don't forget, these guys were second and fourth behind Povey and May. So they've been saving fuel. How long is the pit stop? 11 seconds from Simon Povey. Ed May has just stopped in his box, and he's gone up on the jacks. He's taking tyres. Is it worth it for that amount of time, though? Not sure if he's meant to take tyres or not, if he's clicked that by accident or he's forgotten to turn that off. But Ed takes tyres, and this is going to extend his pit stop massively. 22 seconds, though. I don't think you're going to gain 10 seconds in 10 minutes. We'll have to see. But Baxter-Jones has inherited the lead of this race now. And he's got 15 seconds to Johnny Elia. Importantly, as well for Baxter-Jones, he's had a clean lap on his way into the pits. He's had a very, very clean in-lap. That can make all the difference sometimes. We'll keep our eye on how long he's in the pits. Simon Povey was stationary for 11.8 seconds. There you can see Mark Johnson is probably the only car really out of place there. Paul Stout hasn't pitted either. He's up to 16th. As down the inside goes Dan Bathy on Andrew Hopley. And he's done it again. Second part of the corner, gets it done, but has he got the run? Because Hopley's at a wider line. He's going to get this done. Johnny Elia is in the pits. 8.8 seconds for Mark Baxter-Jones. That's 3 seconds less than Simon Povey. Where is Simon? There he is. Wow, look at that. Mark Baxter-Jones already halfway up the hill. I told you if he saved enough fuel, he'd be fine. And this is a really frustrating moment for Simon Povey because he's stuck behind the 73 BMW of João Esteves. Ralph Mayer's gone off the circuit. Now, where's Johnny Elia? He's ahead of Ed May by some distance. Wow. Ed May's there going down the straight, but Ed is on fresh rubber and he's still ahead of Carl Sharkey. That's how big the difference was before. That new rubber not looking too great for Ed, but wow, oh wow. Mark Baxter-Jones has made this work. And Mark Baxter-Jones is currently your race leader in the first round of the championship at Road Atlanta. But look, traffic for days. That's a good thing here because you can use the slipstream. Has he got enough fuel in it? That's going to be the question. He needs to be so careful now about this traffic, and the traffic needs to be so careful about him. That's the 23. Fausto Pinto gets out of that one. James Cummings is on the right-hand side. And look at that, Mark just filters in. Oh, Fausto's lost the back end a little bit there. Manages to catch it again, though. Now, suddenly, Hopley's been dumped onto Byron Crawford and Dan Bathy's plate here. Oh. Wait. Carl Sharkey. Oh, he's having a big blip in and out there. You all saw him drop down the timing, didn't you? Carl Sharkey disappeared for a second there. And he's still disappeared. I really hope that's not the end of Sharkey's race with only 7 minutes to go. I think he might have had a disconnect. Oh, Byron runs wide and Dan Bathy goes through. 8 places gained for Dan Bathy, by the way. Out of those that are in the top 10, he has had the highest gain of places by a long shot. Next up is Oliver Carbadine with 4 places gained. Dan Bathy's on a mission in this race. Off goes... That's Ralph Mayer, is it not? It is. No rear wing on Ralph's car. Not sure if he knows that. He's been off track and on track again a couple of times here. What's happened? That is Fausto Pinto. Whoa, that's a big old hit. The two of them just tried to squeeze each other and just magnetized together. And that will wake you up. I tell you, that will wake you up, an impact like that. Andrew Marston's off the road at turn 1. He's not had the easiest of races as the boss man. And I can confirm that Carl Sharkey, unfortunately, is still dropping down the order and has disconnected. Stephen Kershaw's had this hell of a drift. Oh my God. Tom Slater just misses him. Kershaw gets the car out of the way of Stuart Clark just about. But yep, Carl Sharkey is out of the race. I cannot believe it. Cannot believe it. Poor Carl. After such a great drive, such a solid performance, he's now handed more championship points to these guys. Andrew Hopley holding on to 5th place. He's had a great race as Andrew. This is his first league race back in sim racing since building his rig. I bet he's absolutely loving it. I bet he's absolutely loving it. He's had a bit of everything here. He's made a mistake. He's lost positions, but he's had so many great fights. And these fights continue on. And they will do all season, I'm sure. Don't forget, we've got 11 more rounds of this, everybody. This is going to be going on till August. Side by side once again. Hopley and Bathy. Dan wants to make it 9 places gained. Byron Crawford waiting in the wings. At the very front of the field, though, another lap in the books completed for Mark Baxter-Jones. The gap is 2 seconds to Simon Povey. And a moment ago it was 2.2. So we'll keep our eye on that. Remember I mentioned at the start of the lap, 2 seconds. 2. As in 1, 2, Povey. It will update every so often. So keep your eye on it on that timing tower. And it saves me a job. Anyway, Andrea, no, that's his female counterpart. Andrea Hopley in 5th place. Ahead of Dan Bathy and Byron Crawford in 6th and 7th. Byron will be pretty pleased with this. He started 8th. He's gained 1 place. At the end of the day, I think if you can gain a place from where you start, then that is a good day at the office. A man we need to really give some credit to is Stuart Clark. He has gained 10 spots from where he started. 21st on the grid, outside of the points. And he's into the top half of the points scoring positions right now, is Stuart. And he's kept that car nice and clean as well. It's great to see. It's been a really, really solid performance. You're very welcome, Cam. You're very welcome for the counting lesson. 1 comes before 2. These guys all make their way past Andrew Marston, who just shimmies out of the way on the left-hand side of the straight. All of the slipstreaming going on, though. Dan Bathy really wants this, doesn't he? Really wants to get past Andrew Hopley. Andrew moves over to the right. Car wobbles around a little bit. Dan gets it down the inside. Andrew understeers. They leave each other just enough room as Dan goes off the circuit, but makes the most of it. Stuff it, he says. Keep your foot in. Love it. Dan Bathy goes through. It wasn't slowdown worthy, so you could technically say that it wasn't really gaining an advantage by going off the road. The curb and the grass is there for you to use. He took the risk and it paid off as well. There's a risk. That grass has obviously affected the tyres. Oh, lovely stuff by Hopley. Moves out to the left last second, but just has to get out of it. Now Dan's cut a lot of turn 3. That could have been a slowdown penalty. It's about 1.5 minutes a lap here at Road Atlanta. So as long as Mark Baxter-Jones does not cross the line in the next 5 seconds, then this will be us going on to the final lap of the race. The gap is now 1.5 seconds to Simon Povey. Simon pushing so hard, gets past the traffic. He's got an injury as well at the moment as Mr. Povey. He had surgery, I think. And he was told basically that he had to take it easy and miss the first few rounds. But what a great drive it's been from Simon. This is the last lap of the race then. Povey chasing down Baxter-Jones with 1 lap to go. It was 1.5 seconds a moment ago. It's now 1.3 seconds. Povey's on the charge. I'm not sure if it's going to be enough unless we see a mistake in some serious fuel saving from Mark Baxter-Jones. But as I said before, if it finishes like this, this could be the second time in a couple of months that Mark Baxter-Jones has snatched a win from the jaws, as you see them on the helmet there of Simon Povey. However, it would also mean that Mark Baxter-Jones has a 100% win record in any events organised by Sim Racing Magazine and Chaz Draycott Media, as well as all of our wonderful partners as well. But what a man, what a drive this has been. He played the game, he got past Ed May early on, and he saved fuel sitting behind Simon Povey. The slipstream's really important here at Road Atlanta, and Mark Baxter-Jones has proven that to us today. Down the hill once more into 10A and 10B at the chicane. Nice and tidy on the brakes, turns it in. Lovely stuff. The gap is down to a second to Simon Povey, with drama behind. Andrew Hopley's gone off. But right now we need to focus on this, because Mark Baxter-Jones wins the first round of the championship in the SRM GT4 Challenge. Simon Povey gets a great second place. Hard luck though after such a tough drive, leading so much of it. And the next car to cross the line is going to be Johnny Elia. Ed May took the risk and took tyres, but it's going to be 2 11/10 Racing Team cars on the podium. Johnny Elia started 6th, finishes 3rd. What a drive. Well done, Sunshine. All Porsche podium here at Road Atlanta to kick off the season. Ed May is going to finish in 4th. That's a great first race for Ed. He said he wanted to be top McLaren this season, and he's done that in the first race. Dan Bathy, take a bow, son. 9 places gained up to 5th. Byron Crawford is 6th. Gary Tall is going to finish 7th. Oliver Carwadine started 13th in this race, and he's going to end up the 2nd placed McLaren in this one. Great stuff by Oliver Carwadine. Started 13th, he's going to finish 8th. Tom Slater started 16th, he's going to finish 9th. And biggest mover of the race is going to be this man, Stuart Clark. 11 places gained to finish in 10th. Fantastic drive by Stuart Clark. Really good stuff. Now, if you'll forgive me, we need to have a quick look at what happened to Andrew Hopley. Oh no, he's done it all on his own. Final lap, pushing hard. It's broken the front right. And that means that he's going to drop down as far as he possibly can before people haven't finished the race. I'm just trying to see who hasn't finished the race yet, and it looks like everybody has crossed the line, have they not? They have. It's just waiting for Hopley, I believe. But there, everybody, is your race winner. And what a guy. What a guy Mark Baxter-Jones is. What a guy. That was a fantastic result. Played the game. And yeah, definitely Colin Wynn in the chat there affirming something I was thinking, to be honest with you. Dan Bathy, great to see him driving so well as well. He's so busy with all of his stuff that he doesn't get that much time behind the seat. Or behind the wheel, I should say. You don't want to be behind the seat in a race car, do you? But I think I'd say that was a good first race, wouldn't you agree? Woohoo! That was mega. Absolutely mega fun here at Road Atlanta in the first round of the Sim Racing Magazine GT4 Challenge. Let's get you some results then, everybody. I'll show you how that panned out. Mark Baxter-Jones takes the win, eventually less than a second ahead of Simon Povey, with Johnny Elia in third. Ed May finishes fourth, top McLaren tonight. Dan Bathy, great drive. Honestly, great drive. Really enjoyed that. 14th place, up to 5th. Byron Crawford finishes 16th. That's great for Byron. Really good stuff. Gary Tall finishes 7th. Oliver Carwadine is 8th. Tom Slater and Stuart Clark, after a mega drive for each of them, round out your top 10. Paul Goffin gets a 11th place finish for Team SRM. He'll be really chuffed with that. Stephen Kershaw is the last car in the lead lap and is 12th. Andrew Hopley is classified in 13th. He did start the final lap, so he finishes one lap down, but ahead of James Cummings, Ryan Penny, Fausto Pinto and João Estevez, the two Petrol Tuga cars in the points. Mark Johnson finishes in 18th place. He's ahead of Danny Jones, and Rob Sharp fills out the final point scoring spot. Paul Stout is 21st ahead of John Roberts, with Jared Coleman, the last car, one lap down. The cars 2 laps down were David Patching and Ralph Mayer. Andrew Marston was eventually 3 laps down. Carl Sharkey, after that disconnect near the end, is 6 laps down. Ian Hannon 9 laps down in 28th. And then the other retirees as well: Austin Greatorex, Stephen Haley and Mark Elvin. We lost a number of big names in that race. It's going to be interesting to see how the rest of the season pans out in terms of that. It could be very, very easy to make mistakes. And we're going to go all the way back to the formation lap and have a look at this, because there was so much fun in that race. I mean, look at the wonderful field that we've got here. It's going to hide now behind the trees. Look at that. You've got to love a bit of that. And we are going to wait for a quick interview, and I'm really glad that he's actually popped in for one, to be honest with you, because Ed May, my good friend and co-commentator of many a series, has hopped in to say hello. Ed, now, tyres, was that a mistake or was that a gamble?
I could pretend like it was a gamble, but no, that was just one of a many mistakes that came through for me that race, unfortunately. But to be fair, the way that Johnny was driving, you can't really begrudge him getting that third place. He was driving like he deserved it, put me under tons of pressure all race long, and yeah, just got to move on from this and see what goes on, because the fronts, they were just gone completely at the end. I don't think I would have been able to have held them off for about another 15 minutes.
Well, you know, you said to me before the race that you wanted to be the top McLaren this season. I mean, you've started off well with that. I mean, you were the top McLaren tonight by a good 4 or 5 places, so that's certainly mission accomplished there. Did the car feel good over the whole run, or did it really go off? You know, I know you mentioned the tyres went off there, but what about like the whole car in terms of its balance and fuel and so on?
I mean, I started to notice the pace dropping off a lot around about lap 10, lap 9. That was when I was also losing touch to that lead pair, Baxter-Jones and Povey. Wow, those two were absolutely dynamite, to give them credit. But no, the car really starts to struggle on the fronts, and on a track like Road Atlanta, there's a few corners that are really key. Those last 2 right-handers, you need to lean on the front tyres a lot, especially for the last one, and then you just get monstered on the straight if you don't get a good run, which I always seem to struggle to do. That was what kept Johnny so close to me for so long. But hopefully at other tracks it can work a little bit easier for us in these McLarens. Saw a couple of BMWs, don't know how they got on, Chaz, but I'm sure you can let me know.
Yes, the 2 BMWs of Fausto Pinto and João Estevez, the 2 teammates at Petrol Tuga, finished 16th and 17th in the field. They are only 2 of 3 that signed up this season, so it's a shame to see the BMW not so well represented, but it's just how balance of performance goes, isn't it?
I think as well they were probably suffering the same issues that the McLarens have, that the fronts were just wearing too much. Maybe it was just me driving a little bit too aggressively at the start of the race, but for me it was just I couldn't keep up with those Porsches in the sort of slow speed corners where it really counts. I didn't hold a candle to them. Through the S's, I was able to make a bit of time, but everywhere else, no chance.
Yeah, that's just part of this sort of racing, isn't it? I mean, you know, all the cars are so different, and some of the tracks are going to be difficult this season. Have you sort of perused the calendar and picked out a circuit that you're going to enjoy most?
There's a few circuits that I'm looking forward to. I mean, Sebring is a track that I always tend to do quite well. That's in a couple of weeks' time, so we'll see there. Daytona, a little bit iffy. Silverstone is one I'm very excited to go to, and then Imola as well in the summer, July. That's going to be very good. In fact, those last 3 rounds to round out the season, very, very good for me because I love all them tracks.
Well, I hope that the McLaren is good to you there, Ed. It's been great to see the performance tonight, though. You know, fastest in practice, right up there in qualifying, and of course the race as well. Is there anyone you'd like to give a quick shout out to before you go, mate?
Well, obviously yourself, Chaz. Thanks for being involved in the comments box. Good to hear your voice when I watch back the races, as always. Downforce Radio's commentator of the year. Great to have you on board. And then Andy Marston as well. He's been really great, to be fair, and getting all of these newbies in. I know myself, and I think Andrew Hopley was a familiar face that I don't think I've seen around here before for a long time. We enjoyed battling with him actually as well. Credit to Andrew for those first 5 laps. Took me back to the old TCR days back on Sim Racers World when
yeah,
I'm fairly certain you were commentating on that series as well. But no, thank you to everyone for having me. I hope to impress just as well for the remaining rounds, hopefully with a few less mistakes. We'll see though.
Lovely stuff. Well, great to speak to you, Ed. Thank you very much for jumping in, mate. And we'll see you again in 2 weeks' time at the next round.
No worries. Take care. See you at Sebring.
Cheers. Good mate of mine there, Ed, mate. Fantastic performance in that McLaren. Like I mentioned, top McLaren of the night. Now, never mind top McLaren of the night. Try top Porsche, top driver, top everything. Mark Baxter-Jones, you absolutely nailed the strategy there, mate. Did you think about that straight away as soon as you got up behind Povey, or were you going to try and give it a go early on?
I think that, if I'm being honest, that was the strategy the entire race. I came into it hoping not to get pole position.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I was a little rusty coming into this, but yeah, I just needed to follow. I lost position at the start, but yeah, was fine with that. Fortunately, was able to grab it back and just stick with Simon. He's so bleeding quick. It's ridiculous. I could have kept up that pace on my own or out front, but yeah, tucking in close behind was the way to go, and it worked out.
Yeah, you can say that again, mate. But yeah, I mean, to the end, it was getting very, very tense. I think it went down from 1.5 seconds to 9 tenths in the last lap. I understood you were probably taking it a little bit easy just to maybe nurse the car home. But how is the Porsche over a long run like this? Because it's a car that seems quite of a difficult pig to drive for some people, but others love it.
Yeah, it's one of the cars that I really hated at the start. When I first started driving the Cayman compared to the Cup car, for instance, I absolutely love the Cup car. The Cayman's just so different to drive. Requires a different style, different braking, different turning. Everything is different about this one. But once you get the flow of it, it starts to feel nice. But it can catch you out in the first couple of laps with cold tyres. It can catch you out at the end of a stint with overheated tyres. So it's just trying to find that balance. So yeah, starting to enjoy this one.
Good stuff. And of course, that still means that you've got a 100% win record on any sim racing magazine event. You won at Spa, you won at Open Park, and now you've won here. Do you think you can keep that up for a few rounds as the season goes on?
Absolutely not.
I love the honesty.
I think I'll retire now, to be honest. And, go away in the glory.
You've got the Grand Slam style. I love it. Well, either way, Mark, that was once again an absolutely wonderful performance to watch. The whole race was brilliant, but that honestly, your performance in that was so tidy, so clean. It was really, really entertaining. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to before I let you go?
Yeah, as always, yourself and Andy for putting this one on, and obviously all the sponsors, Mydas to Go, and Crockery Direct in particular, and obviously the 11/10 guys, Johnny and Byron. It's real fun racing with those guys, and racing in the series looks like it's going to be a good one. Looking forward to it. It's going to be a belter of a championship, mate, and good luck in the next one as well. We'll let you enjoy your evening and maybe have a drink to celebrate, mate. Yeah, absolutely. Thanks very much. See you soon, Mark. Cheers. Cheers. Well, there you go then. Your race winner, Mark Baxter-Jones, and it wouldn't be right if we didn't bring in his teammate and third place finisher, meaning that 2 11/10 cars got on the podium. Johnny Elia joins me. Johnny, that was a fantastic fight you had all the way through there inside the top 5. How do you feel now that that's all over? Because starting 6th, it looked like you had a little bit of work to do.
Yeah, it was tough, really, really tough. The plan was to stick behind Ed and just sort of, sit it out towards the end, and because if I was in front, I'd feel the pressure. Mm-hmm. And then, I think I was nibbling at him on the way towards the end there before the pit stop, and obviously he pitted before me, and then I just went as fast as I could on on that last lap to obviously try and skip ahead of him. And then I've just spoken to him. He accidentally took tyres, so I was pretty gutted because I was looking forward to that battle to the end. And then yeah, unfortunately he finished 10 seconds behind me. But awesome for 11 temps. I think that's mine and Mark's first 11 temps podium officially.
Awesome.
In a race. So yeah, pretty chuffed with that.
Yeah, definitely. And, you know, strong points not only in the Drivers' Championship for yourself and for Mark, but, of course, the teams as well. We discussed not long ago that it's the top 2 cars in a team, if you have more than 2, that will score the points. So you may as well get them both on the podium, eh? That was mega.
Yeah, for sure. Some good points to start the season. It's going to be a long season. I think it's 12 rounds altogether. So it's always good to get the good points at the start because it gives momentum for the rest of the season. So
definitely. Yeah, sometimes people really underestimate how important that is. You don't want to be on the back foot and try and sort of catch up as the season goes on, so it's always good to get them out of the way early. Is there any circuit you're looking forward to most for the rest of the season? Any tracks that you see that you think, really fancy that one?
Not really thought about that, really. I know Sebring is next, which is going to be interesting in the Cayman. It should throw up a few surprises, I think. Yeah, not really thought about that one yet.
Well, we'll have to see, mate, because it's going to be a mega championship. So many great circuits from all around the world and brilliant cars. And great respect between all the drivers as well. It's been beautiful to see. Is there anyone you'd like to give a quick shout out to?
Yeah, all the guys that have been watching me racing tonight. And, yeah, my mum and dad as well. And then Chaz and Andy for making all this happen. And all the drivers and the 11 temps team.
Cracking stuff. Great to speak to you, Johnny. Well done on the podium, mate. And we'll see you again very soon.
Take care. Thank you.
Cheers. Well, everybody... Well, where do we go from here? Because that was absolutely brilliant, wasn't it? I absolutely loved that. Mark Baxter-Jones takes a fantastic victory over Simon Povey, just missing out, but still great to see Simon doing so well, considering the fact that he has an injury to worry about as well. Ed May shows that the McLaren's really got some pace. Same with Andrew Hopley as well. Absolutely gutted for Andrew that the race didn't go his way. A number of others also dropped out. Stephen Haley, Austin Greatorex, Carl Sharkey. Some big names not scoring many points here today, or any at all for that matter. So it all is to play for in the championship. Either way, this has been the Sim Racing Magazine GT4 Challenge Round 1 from Road Atlanta. I've been Chaz Draycott, and this series is brought to you by Sim Racing Magazine, Blinds to Go, Digital Motor Art, Orris Digital, Crockery Direct, Mydas Simulation, and Shark eBikes, and we thank every single one of them for it. But for now, though, everybody, it's time for me to say good evening. I need to go to bed because I've got a broadcast at 1:30 in the morning. But aside from that, thank you very much for joining me. It's good night for now.
Opportunistic, still rubbing panels as they go together. It's folded the wing mirror in on Gerardo's car.
Misano is such a difficult circuit for these guys to get right. There's a lot of start-stop sections around the back. It's a very, very quick section as well.
It's a fantastic start from the 23. They're 4 wide there by the look of it.